Alright, let's open up InDesign and let's get started. The first thing that we always want to do is start with a new page. You have to tell it that you want a new page because, as you can probably see, it does not automatically create one for you. So what we have to do is in fact tell it we want a new page. So having said that, we go File, New, and that's going to give us a new document. We'll talk later on about the difference between a document and a book. A library happens to be an area where you can save images that you use, things like logos, again and again. It's a very convenient place to put them and then quickly drag them onto your page. And that's an awfully neat feature. But let's focus right now just for document and get started. Okay. Now, the first thing we see is our standard default new document window. Number of pages we can insert here. We can in other places from the main menu and from the Pages palette also. But so we got, it's not imperative that we do it right now, the number of pages that we ultimately need. I'm going to go ahead and put in 4, however. And then facing pages is so that you can choose to either see literally 2 pages, or what we call a spread, side by side on your screen, or you can view individual pages of your document only. And you can, again, on the fly, switch back and forth. So for the moment, I'll go ahead and I'll leave facing pages turned on. We're going to use a letter size page. I'm going to use a standard letter size, 8.5 by 11. You need to learn that. Here's where, if it was like a newsletter or a document with multiple columns, we can insert that right away. We can adjust the space. This is standard space in between columns, called the gutter. And then the margins is just guidelines around the edge, outer edge of the page, and I would suggest you leave it at a 1/2 inch. You can go over the margins on the page itself, but these are meant to be guides to keep you on track. So a 1/2 inch is good. A lot of inkjet printers on one side or the other do not extend beyond a 1/2 inch or less than a 1/2 inch. Many laser printers do let you do a 1/4 inch margin all the way around, but you need to know what your printer is going to do. So let's leave it at a 1/2 inch and get started. Okay. So bring this over into our viewing area. And great. At the moment, we're just looking at a single page, but that's okay. And the first thing we want to take a look at is our tabs and our palettes. Those can be accessed in a couple of different ways. The first one is, as always with all the Adobe programs, all of the palettes and tabs can be accessed through the main menu window under Window. So that's one place. I know it's outside of the video frame, but in the very far right corner of your screen, way out on the far right, you see the palettes with little icons. And so they sit there over on the right side of the screen, and you can see it says the first one is pages and info and layers and links, strokes, swatches, etc. The other thing that we want to remind you of is that with all of the tools, there is always the options bar at the top of the screen. underneath your main menu, and as you'll see when you go from one tool to another, as with all the Adobe programs, the options bar changes as you go from one tool to another, because the options bar has a lot of features and behavior of each of the different tools. And so you always want to keep an eye out for what's going on up in the options bar. In many cases, the exact same things that are in the options bar are going to be what you see if you have the standard tabs and little menus pulled up from under the window. This clearly, if what you need is pretty much available in the options bar, that's right in front of you and may be just a little bit more efficient in terms of you seeing what's going on. But you almost always can go to either place, the tabs and menus, or look at the options bar to see exactly what happens. Okay? And making some assumptions that you are somewhat familiar with the other Adobe programs. I'm going to look first at the fill and the stroke little icons that we have down here. As standard with all the programs, the little square here represents the fill, as when you put your cursor near it, you always see a little pop-up window. The little border sort of on the back, in the background at the moment, is the stroke around all of the shapes that you might create. And as always, with all of the tools in the Adobe programs, when they have this little black triangle in the corner, that tells us that there are some other options or variations on those tools. And so I was looking right here at the color, and when I click on it, I see that I have a couple of different choices. Apply whatever color is chosen, the gradient, or as we see right now, the little square with white square with the red slash, meaning the none, meaning don't put any color, no fill. But I'll go ahead for the moment and just do black, and there you see it. I've got a black fill, and I would have a black stroke, and we can choose either one. And of course we can go to our color palettes and change the color of things as we go along as well. And let's see, the other things that we've got many other things to talk about, and we shall see as we move along more of what's going on. The also at the bottom of this screen, you can look, and one of several ways to change the pages and go from one page to another in your document is to look right down at the bottom of the screen here, and or your window, and you see you've got your pages right here, and we can go from one page to the other, and in this case 4 pages, and there you see also in miniature form the 2 pages as you face-to-face pages. So, and also when they're small enough, we can simply scroll, or we can click, as I said, down here, or we'll look at the Pages palette itself, and we can see our Pages palette. I'm pulling it over here so we can see very easily, and we can scroll through here to see the pages as well. And so there's a good start on what is a very robust, wonderful program that is quickly gaining favor amongst graphic designers and replacing Quark, I think, at a fairly strong rate.